Thank you for joining Team Echo's Sealed Air Corporation case analysis, with Gladdy as Barrett Hauser Product Manager, Chris as Product Manager, Sean as Supply Chain Manager, and Krista as Marketing Financial Analyst. We've enjoyed the position of market leader with our AirCap bubble wrap for a long time. Sure, Astro has a little piece of the market, but that doesn't bother us. We actually license our technology to them. We know they can't lower their prices due to licensing costs, and they're not going to steal our share because our product is way better. Having them in the market actually helps establish the industry standard by making the product more available and increasing awareness.
But other competitors are starting to invent around our patents, and new manufacturers are entering the market with uncoated bubbles. GAFSO's already got $1 million in sales just in the New York metro. Between uncoated bubbles and copycat coated bubbles, our piece of the pie is at risk of shrinking. We need to come up with a plan for how to deal with these market developments.
I'm not sure we need to worry too much about our piece of the pie. Our bubbles are better than Astro's. GAFSO is not going to steal our share with their cheap uncoated bubbles. Astro's going to feel it, though. They are much smaller than we are, and losing $1 million in sales to a competitor would be 10% of their revenue. They may not be able to survive that. If anything, we should watch for an opportunity to acquire them. And maybe, if we end up in that boat, and uncoated bubbles really take off, we'd have an opportunity to enter that market under the subsidiary name.
Well, I think this is a no-brainer. We have the technology and ability to jump in and start manufacturing uncoated bubbles without any major capital investments. I say we head off the competition before they get a good hold in the market. We all know being first to market is crucial. If we don't hurry, we'll lose our chance. We are sealed air. We can squeeze out the competition. Well, I really think we should add depth to our flexible wrap offerings with uncoated bubbles.
I know it would be easy to start making uncoated bubbles if that's who we want to be, but I really don't think it is. I don't think we want to operate on the defensive and embark on one-off initiatives that will only deliver short-term benefits. Dunphy would never go for it. He's always talking about staying true to our commitment to foster technological accomplishment as the strategy for maintaining market leadership.
Well, we have to do something. Our revenue trends are strong and steady, but our fixed costs are increasing right in pace, so our operating margins are practically flatlined. We're working harder every day and barely seeing any benefit. And our year-over-year growth rates are actually declining. It's getting harder and harder to grow our margin as the market matures.
You're right about the trends, and you're right that the market is maturing. And that means more competition and margin pressure. We can't grow margins forever. That's the nature of the product life cycle. I don't disagree that we need to take strategic action, but I really think we need to keep our core competencies and company vision in mind. Sustained innovation and long-term growth need to guide our planning. We have a differentiated product, and we have to find a way to leverage that to hold our distribution outlets and market share. Sealed Air has never copied the competition before. We're the market leader. We're known for our innovation. We don't just sell packaging materials. That isn't who we are. Think about our value proposition. We sell reduction in waste. Our materials reduce costs by reducing damages in transit. We also reduce shipping costs with more effective packaging materials, which allow the overall packaging size to be smaller and lighter. In a way, we're even selling conservation. Reducing packaging size reduces consumption of natural resources. Less effective, uncoated bubbles don't fit in with our value proposition at all. At this stage in the market, I think we have to ramp up our marketing efforts to the consumer to create a demand pull through the supply chain. We have the best value proposition in the market, but we have to keep that knowledge flowing through the market. I think we just need to focus on our current product line and figure out how to manage the brand. We've sort of been riding on our past successes, and as the market changes, we need to be adapting and nurturing our brand image. I don't think we've done a good job with that.
Hey, what's going on here?
Oh, hey, how's it going? We're just brainstorming right now. We're really feeling the pressure on this bubble wrap market.
Yeah, we're not sure exactly what we need to do, but it seems like maybe we need to attack this from a number of angles, possibly even from the supply chain side.
Why don't you guys stick around? I'm getting ready to present some ideas to the leadership team about this very subject, and it sounds like we should think about collaborating on some of this stuff anyway. The meeting starts in just a minute, and I will bring you in the loop on everything.
Sure, that sounds great.
Thanks for joining me today. Well, there has been a lot of buzz across departments, as you guys know, about the issue with what to do about the bubble wrap dilemma. So I thought it might be a good idea to start a dialogue and possibly form a cross-functional team to come up with a strategy. I want to start by sharing some ideas about how I think we need to manage our supply chain. First, let's talk about our existing strategy with our distributors. I think we all can agree that they are our lifeline to customers in terms of awareness and execution. Lately, my team has spent a good deal of time defending our sales team against complaints regarding the lack of effort being put into pushing AirCap. This is understandable, seeing as how contracts with our partners affords them far less margin on Instapak, but that seems to be the main product in our line that is getting the focus from our sales department. Now, the way I see it is this. We either need to reconsider our contracts, possibly renegotiate margins on Instapak in a way that is fair to our distributors, or we need to re-examine our commission structure in order to better compensate for AirCap sales. My gut feeling is that both of these issues need to be addressed. Our distributors have put their faith in us, and we need to make sure that they remain in our corner. The other issue is Europe. We have been getting hammered in the UK by uncoated bubbles. In Germany and France, markets have been stagnant for years. I'm concerned that our distributors are not playing on the same field as our sales team. I feel like we need to begin a concerted effort to restore our European relationships, and quite possibly do some re-education with regard to AirCap and its benefits. We know that Europe has a different philosophy when it comes to packaging. They seem to consider it an inevitable sunk cost. But I'm confident that if we have those distributors and our sales team on the same page, we can turn the tide over there. If we can just change the mindset with some key accounts, that will definitely help too. We need customers willing to be our advocates within their circles. Now, what do you guys think?
So what specific complaints are you getting from our distributors?
Well, the distributors really are saying that they would be content if our salespeople would allocate 35% of their time and effort to selling AirCap. And it's pretty much consensus right now that they're estimating about 20% in terms of what they're seeing with salespeople and their effort towards that product. Distributors' margins on AirCap cushioning are generally higher. We know that, and they're only getting 10 to 12% for Instapak sales. So it's understandable that they would want to see that increase in effort and be able to enjoy the higher margins on AirCap. Really, I think what it comes down to, guys, is just continuing goodwill, just them maintaining their faith in us. We're definitely not the only player in the game, and I just think that we really need to make sure that everyone is on the same page, and that we're working as a team with not only with interdepartmentally, but with our distributors as well. Now, Krista, I know you've done some analysis in terms of sales margins and what our focus should be in that area. So why don't you share with us what you found out?
I think the first thing we need to do is analyze the margins, both our margins and the distributor's margins. Let's take a look at coated bubbles. We enjoy margins in the neighborhood of 40% across most of our bubble wrap items. And the distributors enjoy about the same level of margin when they sell in small quantities. Even when they sell by the truckload, they still get a 10% margin. In these cases, we drop ship directly to the end user, so their level of involvement is minimal, and 10% is a decent return. Now, let's look at margins for uncoated bubbles. Using the same sales price that GAFSEL uses along with what we know our production costs would be, margins for us and our distributors would be lower than with our air cap coated bubbles. Our distributors are accustomed to 10% margins on large orders. They're only making 9% on GAFSEL's uncoated bubbles, and we enjoy margins of 33 to 53% on coated bubbles. Margins on uncoated bubbles would most likely range from 20 to 32%. Sure, even low margins are better than no margins, but there's more to it than this. Launching uncoated bubbles is likely to cause cannibalization of our coated bubbles. Existing end users may try to substitute the lower priced bubble wrap to save money. As an example, I've run the numbers on two of our offerings. If we experience 10% cannibalization, we'd have to sell 1.5 times the uncoated 3/16 inch bubbles to bring in the same margin as the coated version, and would have to sell more than double the uncoated 1/2 inch bubbles to bring in the same margin as the coated version. Competing on price and launching uncoated bubbles means working harder for the same amount of money. And if the end user simply replaced some of our coated bubbles with uncoated, we could actually lose money. With cannibalization rates ranging from 5% to 20%, our margin losses would range from $400,000 to $1.6 million. I think offering an uncoated bubble line is very risky.
I agree, Krista. I knew uncoated bubbles would be a threat to our value proposition. Now that I see the financial risk of cannibalization, I'm even more convinced. I want to elaborate on a couple of things Sean mentioned earlier. I wasn't aware that distributor relations were suffering due to the structure of our sales focus, but I see how that would be the case. What we push in the field directly impacts their bottom line. I just did some rough calculations, and it looks like we have indeed significantly reduced our focus on AirCap. Before we started selling Instapak back in '76, we had 28 salespeople driving AirCap's $19 million in revenue. Now we have a lot more salespeople overall, but when we take their time allocations into account, we have the equivalent of 22 salespeople dedicated to AirCap. Dedicating 5 fewer salespeople to a revenue stream that is almost doubled doesn't make a lot of sense. We have to address this. If our distribution partners disengage, we cannot accomplish our objectives. Sean mentioned reevaluating our commissions structure. That's a really good idea. Even though commissions are double for AirCap, our sales team is really more motivated to push Instapak and other packaging. The delta in commission payouts between Bubbles and other packaging products has been shrinking. Since the market potential for Instapak is so much greater than for AirCap, we need to increase our internal incentives on AirCap or it will be neglected in the field. Instapak is in a rapid growth market and we do want to take advantage of that, but we don't want to take 2 steps forward and 1 step back by ignoring AirCap. Our sales force knows that the sales trends indicate that commissions on other packaging will exceed commissions on Bubbles as early as next year. The compensation plan definitely needs to align with our strategic objectives. The other strategy Sean mentioned is our consumer education program. Designing products to meet specific customer needs and then effectively communicating how we fill those needs is what has made AirCap so successful. We've been slacking off in this area as we've become distracted by growth in other market segments and threats of new entrants in this market segment. But we really need to stay the course and revitalize this aspect of our strategy. More than half of our end users purchase based on price. Our marketing strategy is based on product functionality. We don't want to compete on price, so we have got to start converting some of those firms with a purchasing department mentality to buy on a performance basis. Our consumer education program can be very effective. We just need to identify key firms with the most potential and start chipping away at the list. Our strategy needs aggressive revision. The solutions we've brainstormed today can be summarized into a rapid transformation plan. We can start by revitalizing channel relationships and beginning the dialogue with our channel partners to find out what they want and need from us. We must let them know that working toward a plan that is in their best interests is a high priority. The plan should include restructuring our compensation plan to stimulate internal motivations in the direction the company desires. And lastly, the transformation plan should include revamping our consumer education programs. We can start by establishing a pilot program in both the U.S. and Europe to determine what our conversion rate is when we target price-conscious firms and show them how they can reduce their overall costs by utilizing more effective coated bubbles. This rapid transformation plan is an innovative solution that will get us moving in the right direction, and it aligns with our value proposition.